Dr. Lisa Morgan pressed her face against the cold metal window of the research ship Horizon. Stars filled the darkness ahead, but these were not the same stars she had grown up seeing from Earth. After 6 months of traveling faster than light, they had reached the edge of known space. Her heart pounded with excitement as she thought about what they might find out here. "Lisa, come look at this," called Captain Jake Sullivan from the bridge. His voice sounded worried, which was unusual for him. Jake had been flying ships for 20 years and rarely got nervous about anything. Lisa hurried to the bridge, where Jake stood staring at the main screen. The display showed dozens of strange objects moving toward them. They were too far away to see clearly, but the computer said they were made of metal and much larger than any human ship. "Those are not asteroids," said Lieutenant Amy Foster, the ship's pilot. She was young, only 24, but she was the best pilot in the human fleet. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she tried to get a better look at the approaching objects. "No, they are definitely ships," Jake said quietly. "And they are headed straight for us." Lisa felt her stomach drop. Humanity had been alone in space for so long that finding other intelligent life was their greatest dream. But now that it was happening, she realized they had no idea if these aliens would be friendly or hostile. "Should we turn around and go back to Earth?" Amy asked. Jake shook his head. "We came out here to make contact with other life forms. We cannot run away at the first sign of them. Send out a peaceful greeting message on all frequencies." Amy's hands moved over the communication controls. "This is the human research vessel Horizon. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly contact." They waited. The alien ships kept getting closer. Finally, a voice came through the speakers. It sounded cold and mechanical, but the words were in perfect English. "Human vessel, you will shut down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in your destruction." Lisa looked at Jake. His face had gone pale. This was not the peaceful first contact they had hoped for. "This is Captain Jake Sullivan of Earth. We are peaceful explorers. We mean no harm to you or your people. Your intentions are irrelevant," the alien voice replied. "You have entered space controlled by the Zephyrian Galactic Empire. All new species must submit to imperial rule or be eliminated. You have 5 minutes to shut down your engines." Amy turned to Jake. "Captain, what do we do?" Jake stared at the screen where the alien ships were now close enough to see clearly. They were massive, at least 10 times larger than the Horizon, and covered in weapons. "Send a message back to Earth. Tell them what we found out here. Then do as they say." Lisa watched Amy send the warning message home. Her hands shook as she typed. When she finished, she shut down the ship's engines as ordered. One of the alien ships moved alongside the Horizon. Through the window, Lisa could see strange beings in the other ship's windows. They were tall and thin with gray skin and large black eyes. They wore dark uniforms and moved with cold efficiency. A beam of light shot out from the alien ship and attached to the Horizon. Lisa felt the ship shake as they were pulled into the larger vessel's docking bay. "Stay calm," Jake told his crew. "Let me do the talking." The airlock opened and 3 aliens entered the Horizon. They were even stranger up close. Their skin looked like metal, and their eyes seemed to see everything at once. The leader stepped forward. "I am Commander Vextar of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet. You will come with us to meet with Supreme Commander Kethmer." They had no choice but to follow. The aliens led them through corridors filled with technology that Lisa could barely understand. Everything was dark and cold, with no decorations or signs of comfort anywhere. They were brought into a large room where an even taller alien sat behind a metal desk. This one wore more decorations on his uniform and radiated authority. "I am Supreme Commander Kethmer," the alien said without looking up from a glowing tablet. "Your species calls itself human?" "Yes," Jake replied. "We come from a planet called Earth. We are explorers seeking peaceful contact with other intelligent life. Kethner finally looked up. His black eyes seemed to look right through them. Your desires are meaningless. For 10,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire has ruled this galaxy. 12 species serve under our guidance. You will become the 13th. What if we refuse? Jake asked. Kethmer's mouth curved into something that might have been a smile, but it held no warmth. Then your species will be eliminated. We have done this before. 3 other species chose defiance. They no longer exist. Lisa felt cold fear run through her body. They had come out here hoping to find friends among the stars. Instead, they had found an empire that demanded submission or death. You will return to your home world, Kethmer continued. You will tell your leaders that they have 30 days to surrender completely to imperial rule. If they refuse, we will demonstrate our power by destroying 3 of your colonies. After that, if you still resist, we will destroy your homeworld and hunt down every human in the galaxy. You cannot be serious, Lisa said, speaking for the first time. We are peaceful people. We just want to learn and explore. Kethmer turned his cold gaze to her. Your peaceful nature makes you weak. The galaxy has no place for weak species. Submit or die. Those are your only choices. They were escorted back to their ship in silence. Lisa's mind raced as she tried to think of some way out of this nightmare. Humanity had finally reached the stars, only to find they were controlled by a ruthless empire that saw them as nothing more than another species to conquer or destroy. As the horizon was released from the alien ship, Amy started the engines with trembling hands. Captain, what do we tell Earth? Jake stared out at the alien fleet surrounding them. Hundreds of massive warships filled the space around them, each one capable of destroying entire planets. We tell them the truth. We tell them that we are not alone in the universe, and that we are in terrible danger. The journey back to Earth took 6 months, but it felt like years. Every day, Lisa wondered if they would arrive home to find their planet already under attack. When Earth finally appeared on their screens, she felt relief wash over her. They were home and they were alive. But as their ship entered Earth's orbit, Lisa knew their real troubles were just beginning. Somewhere behind them in the darkness of space, the Zephyrian Empire was preparing for war. The news from the horizon spread across Earth like wildfire. President Carol Hayes called an emergency meeting with world leaders within hours of the ship's return. Dr. Lisa Morgan sat in a room filled with generals, scientists, and politicians, all staring at her with fear and disbelief. You are telling us that we have 30 days before they attack? General Frank Turner asked. He was the head of Earth's military forces, a tough man who had never backed down from a fight. That was 3 weeks ago, Jake Sullivan replied. We have 7 days left. The room fell silent. President Hayes rubbed her forehead as she tried to process the impossible situation. How many ships do they have? Hundreds that we saw, Lisa answered. Maybe thousands. Each one could destroy our largest cities. Dr. Henry Clark, a scientist who studied human brain development, raised his hand. What did you notice about their technology? How did they translate our language so quickly? Lisa thought back to their encounter. Everything they had seen to work through direct mental control. They did not touch buttons or speak commands. They just thought, and their machines responded. Interesting, Dr. Clark muttered, making notes on his tablet. President Hayes stood up. We need to prepare for war. General Turner, mobilize every ship and weapon we have. Ma'am, with respect, our entire fleet is maybe 50 ships. They have hundreds. Our weapons cannot even scratch their hulls, the general replied. As the meeting continued, Amy Foster sat in her quarters aboard the military base, staring out the window at the stars. Something strange had happened during their escape from the alien ships. something she had not told anyone about. When the Horizon's main computer had been damaged by an energy pulse from the alien vessels, she had somehow fixed it without touching anything. She had just thought about what needed to be repaired, and it had happened. She was still thinking about this when alarms began blaring throughout the base. Red lights flashed as soldiers ran through the hallways. Amy rushed to the command center, where everyone was staring at the main screen. "They are early," Jake said grimly. 3 massive alien ships hung in space above Earth's moon. They were even larger than the ones they had seen before, each one the size of a small city. As everyone watched, beams of brilliant light shot out from the ships toward 3 human colonies in the outer solar system. The colonies of New Boston, Liberty Station, and Hope's End simply vanished. 50,000 people died in seconds, turned to dust by weapons beyond human understanding. "My God," President Hayes whispered. A message appeared on all screens across Earth. Supreme Commander Kethmer's cold face filled every television, computer, and communication device on the planet. "People of Earth, you have seen our power. Your colonies no longer exist. You now have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally, or your homeworld will suffer the same fate. Submit to the Zephyrian Empire, and your species will be allowed to live as servants. Refuse, and you will all die." The transmission ended, leaving Earth in chaos. Riots broke out in major cities as people panicked. Some demanded immediate surrender to save their lives. Others called for fighting to the death rather than becoming slaves. In his laboratory, Dr. Clark was studying brain scans of the Horizon's crew when he noticed something impossible. "Lisa, come look at this," he called. Lisa hurried over to his computer screen, where colorful images of brain activity danced across the monitor. "These are your brain scans from before you left Earth 6 months ago," he said, pointing to one image. "And these are from yesterday." Lisa stared at the 2 images. They looked completely different. "What does this mean?" "Your brain has changed. Not just yours, but Jake's and Amy's too. The neural pathways have reorganized themselves in ways I have never seen before. It is as if contact with the aliens triggered some kind of evolution in your minds." Before Lisa could respond, Amy burst into the laboratory. "Dr. Clark, I need to tell you something. I think I can control machines with my thoughts." Dr. Clark's eyes widened. "Show me." Amy looked at a broken computer in the corner of the lab. She focused her mind on it, imagining the circuits repairing themselves and the power flowing through them correctly. Sparks flew from the machine, and suddenly it hummed to life, its screen glowing bright. "Impossible," Dr. Clark breathed. Word of Amy's ability spread quickly through the base. Within hours, other strange reports began coming in from around the world. A factory worker in Detroit could somehow make broken machines work perfectly just by touching them. A nurse in London discovered she could sense exactly what was wrong with patients without any medical tests. A farmer in Kansas found he could make crops grow faster just by concentrating on them. Dr. Clark worked frantically to understand what was happening. "It appears that stress and fear are triggering dormant parts of the human brain," he explained to President Hayes over a video call. "Parts that evolution may have been preparing for thousands of years." "Are you saying humans are developing superpowers?" the president asked. "I am saying humans are evolving at an impossible speed. The threat of extinction appears to be awakening. Abilities we never knew we had." As the 24-hour deadline approached, more and more humans began manifesting unusual abilities. Marine Sergeant Tony Rodriguez discovered he could move faster than any human should be able to, his reflexes becoming superhuman. Engineer Maya Thompson found she could understand the molecular structure of any material just by looking at it. But it was Amy who made the most important discovery. While testing her abilities with Dr. Clark, she accidentally connected her mind to the base's main computer system. Suddenly, she could see everything. Satellite feeds, communication networks, even the alien ships orbiting the moon. "I can see inside their ships," she gasped, her eyes closed in concentration. "They are preparing to fire on Earth, but their systems. I think I can interfere with them." "What do you mean?" Dr. Clark asked. "Their technology works through mental control, just like what I am doing. But they have never encountered minds like ours. I think I can confuse their systems." President Hayes arrived at the laboratory just as the final hour began. "The aliens are charging their weapons," she said. "Do we surrender, or do we fight?" Amy opened her eyes, and they seemed to glow with inner light. "We fight, but not the way they expect." She reached out with her mind toward the alien ships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the massive vessels began to shake and spark as their systems went haywire. "Their weapons are misfiring," General Turner reported over the radio. "The alien ships are moving away from Earth." Amy collapsed from the effort, but she was smiling. "They do not understand us yet, but they are beginning to fear us." Dr. Clark helped Amy to her feet. "This is just the beginning. If a few humans can do this much, imagine what we could accomplish if everyone's abilities awakened." Outside the laboratory windows, the alien ships retreated to a safer distance. For the first time since the Horizon's return, humanity had hope. They were not just going to be victims in this war. They were going to be something the galaxy had never seen before. 6 months had passed since the first alien attack, and Earth had become a world transformed. In every city, in every town, humans were discovering abilities that seemed impossible. Dr. Henry Clark could barely keep track of all the changes happening. To the human race, "The rate of evolution is incredible," he told President Carol Hayes during their daily briefing. "What should have taken thousands of years is happening in weeks. The stress of survival is pushing human development beyond anything we thought possible." Amy Foster stood in the training facility, her eyes closed as she practiced her newest ability. She could now merge her consciousness completely with any computer system on Earth. Around her, other humans practiced their own powers. Commander Steve Johnson walked through a solid steel wall as if it was made of air. Engineer Maya Thompson held a piece of scrap metal and watched it reshape itself into a perfect tool. But the aliens had not been either. Intelligence reports showed that the Zephyrian Empire was gathering the largest fleet in their history. Thousands of ships were moving toward Earth from across the galaxy. "They are taking us seriously now," General Frank Turner said as he watched the satellite feeds. "Our resistance has made them angry." Jake Sullivan, now promoted to admiral, studied the tactical displays in the war room. Human technology had advanced rapidly as people with new abilities worked to improve their weapons and ships. But they still faced overwhelming odds. "How many ships are they bringing?" he asked. "Over 3,000 confirmed," came the reply from a young officer. "Each one larger and more powerful than anything we faced before." Despite the grim numbers, Jake felt confident. The humans under his command were no longer the same species that had first ventured into space. Lieutenant Amy Foster could now pilot multiple ships simultaneously through mental connection. Marine Sergeant Tony Rodriguez could move so fast that enemy weapons could not target him. Dr. Maya Thompson could create new materials that were stronger than anything the aliens had ever encountered. The first major battle came at Kepler Station, humanity's furthest outpost. The aliens sent a massive fleet, expecting easy victory. Instead, they found 50 human ships that fought like nothing they had ever seen. Amy connected her mind to all 50 ships at once, allowing perfect coordination between every vessel. They moved as one mind, anticipating each other's actions. and working together in ways that confused the alien commanders. "Impossible," Commander Vextar said as he watched human ships perform maneuvers that defied physics. "How are they moving like that?" The human ships seemed to dance through space, avoiding alien weapons while striking back with perfect precision. Tony Rodriguez led boarding parties that moved so fast they appeared as blurs to alien sensors. Maya Thompson had created new hull materials that absorbed energy weapons and redirected the power back to human systems. When the battle ended, 300 alien ships had been destroyed while humanity lost only 5 vessels. The Zephyrian Empire faced their first major defeat in 10,000 years. News of the victory spread across the galaxy. Other species that had been enslaved by the Empire began to whisper about the humans who could fight like gods. On the alien homeworld of Zephyr Prime, Supreme Commander Kethmer called an emergency meeting of the ruling council. "How is this possible?" Elder Morthak demanded. "These humans were primitive when we first encountered them. They are evolving at an impossible rate," Kethmer replied. "Our scientists cannot explain it. Each battle makes them stronger and more capable." "Then we must use the ultimate weapons," said Elder Drexon, the oldest member of the council. "Deploy the reality warpers." A cold silence fell over the room. The reality warping devices were the Empire's most terrifying weapons. They could change the basic laws of physics in local space, making it impossible for any enemy to exist. They had been used only 3 times in galactic history, each time completely erasing an entire civilization. The human homeworld must be destroyed. Kethmer agreed, and every human in the galaxy hunted down. They have become too dangerous to allow to exist. Back on Earth, Dr. Clark was making new discoveries about human abilities every day. "The changes are accelerating," he told Lisa Morgan as they studied the latest brain scans. "Some humans are developing powers that seem to break the laws of science." Lisa nodded. She had developed her own abilities over the past months. She could now communicate telepathically with other humans across vast distances. More importantly, she could sense things that should be impossible to know. "Something terrible is coming," she said suddenly. "I can feel it. The aliens are preparing to use weapons unlike anything they have used before." Her warning came just in time. 3 days later, alien ships appeared throughout human space carrying devices that looked like giant metal spheres. When activated, these reality warpers began changing the very nature of space around them. On Mars Colony, gravity suddenly reversed and the atmosphere turned to acid. On Luna Base, time began moving backward. On Europa Station, the laws of chemistry stopped working and all matter began to dissolve. The reality warpers are changing physics itself. Maya Thompson reported from the research station where she was studying the alien weapons. Nothing should be able to survive in those altered zones. But something incredible happened. Instead of being destroyed by the impossible physics, humans began to adapt to the changes in real time. Colonists on Mars learned to walk on ceilings and breathe the poisonous air. Workers on Luna Base figured out how to move through reverse time. Scientists on Europa discovered how to exist as pure energy when matter failed. "This is beyond evolution," Dr. Clark said in amazement. "Humans are becoming something that can exist under any conditions." The aliens were horrified. Their ultimate weapons, which had never failed to destroy entire civilizations, were only making humans stronger. Commander Vextar watched in disbelief as human ships began operating normally in zones where physics had been completely altered. "Sir, the humans are turning our own reality warpers against us," his science officer reported. "They have learned to control the altered physics and are using them as weapons." Jake Sullivan, now able to exist in multiple realities simultaneously, led a counterattack that used the alien reality warpers to transport human forces directly onto enemy ships. Amy Foster piloted vessels through dimensions, that should not exist. Tony Rodriguez moved through time itself to attack alien positions before they were even established. For the first time in their 10,000-year history, the Zephyrian Empire was facing complete defeat. Their most powerful weapons had not only failed, but had made their enemies stronger than gods. On Zephyr Prime, Elder Drexon stared at the reports with growing terror. "What have we awakened?" he whispered. The answer was becoming clear across the galaxy. Humanity was no longer just another species. They had become something entirely new, something that could exist anywhere and adapt to anything. The Empire that had ruled for millennia was about to face its greatest challenge, and they were not prepared for beings who could reshape reality itself. The final assault on Zephyr Prime began at dawn on a Tuesday that would be remembered across the galaxy forever. Admiral Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge of the flagship Unity, watching as thousands of human ships emerged from folded space around the alien homeworld. But these were not the same humans who had first stumbled into galactic politics. 2 years ago, Colonel Rick Davis phased his entire army through the planet's massive defense shields as if they were made of air. The alien defenders fired their weapons frantically, but the energy beams passed harmlessly through soldiers who could exist in multiple dimensions at once. "Defense grid is down," Rick reported through the telepathic link that now connected all human forces. "Beginning ground assault." Captain Lara Scott manipulated gravity around the alien fleet, causing massive warships to crash into each other, like toys in the hands of a child. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries spun helplessly as the very force that held planets together turned against them. Dr. Maya Thompson, now serving as Chief Technology Officer for the human fleet, reached out with her mind and began rewriting the molecular structure of the planet's defensive systems. Weapons designed to destroy entire fleets suddenly turned to help the human attack instead. On Zephyr Prime's surface, Supreme Commander Kethmer watched the impossible battle through his command center windows. Human soldiers moved like ghosts through his defenses. Human ships danced through space as if the laws of physics were merely suggestions. Human technology turned his own weapons against him. "Sir, all defense systems have been compromised," his aide reported. "The humans have somehow taken control of our computers, our weapons, even our communication systems." "How many casualties?" Kethmer asked. "None, sir. The humans are not killing anyone. They are just disabling everything." Kethmer stared in confusion. In 10,000 years of galactic conquest, no enemy had ever shown such restraint. When the Empire conquered a world, they destroyed anyone who resisted. But the humans seemed to be going out of their way to avoid killing. Amy Foster's consciousness flowed through every computer system on the planet, like water through pipes. She could have destroyed everything with a thought, could have turned the aliens' own technology into instruments of death. Instead, she carefully disabled weapons while leaving life support systems untouched. "We are not here to become conquerors," she heard Jake's voice in her mind. "We are here to end conquest. Forever." Within 6 hours, the most heavily defended planet in galactic history had fallen without a single death. The Zephyrian Empire's capital was under complete human control, and their leaders sat as prisoners in their own government building. Jake walked into the council chamber where the alien leaders waited. They looked at him with a mixture of fear and confusion. He had changed since their first meeting. His eyes seemed to hold the wisdom of ages, and power radiated from him like heat from a star. "You expected us to kill you," Jake said simply. Supreme Commander Kethmer nodded slowly. "It is what we would have done. It is what we have always done to defeated enemies." "Then you understand why the galaxy feared you?" Jake replied. "But we are not you." Elder Drexon, the oldest member of the Alien Council, spoke for the first time. "What do you want from us, human? What are your terms for our surrender?" Jake sat down across from them, his movements calm and deliberate. We want to end the Age of Empire. We want to create something new. You want to rule the galaxy yourself, Kefmer said bitterly. No, Jake shook his head. We want to teach the galaxy to rule itself. Dr. Lisa Morgan entered the chamber, her mind now capable of touching thoughts across star systems. She could sense the confusion and fear in the alien leaders, but also something else, a spark of hope that they were trying to hide. For 10,000 years, you have ruled through fear, she said to them. But fear only creates more fear. It makes enemies where there could be friends. It builds hatred where there could be cooperation. You speak of impossible things, Elder, Morthak said. Different species cannot work together as equals. There must always be rulers and servants. Why? Amy asked as she materialized in the room, her body shifting between dimensions. Because that is how it has always been? Because that is what you were taught? Maya Thompson walked through the solid wall, enjoying the conversation. We have 12 different species in this empire. Each one has unique abilities and knowledge. Imagine what they could accomplish working together instead of being forced to serve. The alien leaders sat in stunned silence. The humans were not gloating over their victory or making demands for tribute. They were talking about cooperation, about building something better. What you suggest has never been tried, Kethmer said. Finally, then it is time to try, Jake replied. The galaxy is big enough for all of us to prosper, smart enough for all of us to learn from each other, strong enough for all of us to protect each other. Over the following weeks, representatives from all 12 species in the former empire came to Zephyr Prime. The humans had sent messages throughout the galaxy, inviting everyone to help create a new form of government. The Crystalline Collective brought their mastery of energy manipulation. The Void Walkers shared their knowledge of space-time travel. The Hive Minds offered their perfect communication networks. Each species contributed their greatest strengths to the new alliance. Tony Rodriguez, now able to move through time as easily as walking through a door, helped coordinate meetings between species who had been enemies for centuries. His superhuman speed allowed him to personally visit every world and speak with every leader. Dr. Henry Clark established the Galactic Cooperation Council with representatives from every species. Unlike the old empire where Zephyrians ruled over everyone else, the new council gave equal voice to all members. It will not be easy, Clark told the assembled delegates. Learning to work together after millennia of conflict will take time. But humans have proven that evolution is possible. We have shown that any species can change and grow. The Zephyrians, themselves humbled by their defeat, but amazed by human mercy, became some of the strongest supporters of the new system. Commander Vex Tar, once humanity's greatest enemy, now worked alongside Amy Foster to create communication systems that connected every world in the galaxy. You could have destroyed us, he told her one day as they worked together. Your people had the power to erase the Zephyrian species from existence. Why did you show mercy? Amy smiled as she adjusted the quantum communication array with her thoughts. Because mercy is what separates civilization from conquest. Because forgiveness creates stronger bonds than fear ever could. Because the galaxy is better when everyone contributes their best instead of everyone serving one master. Years later, Admiral Jake Sullivan stood on the observation deck of the Unity, now serving as the mobile headquarters of the Galactic Cooperation Council. Through the windows, he could see human and alien children playing together in the station's gardens. Former enemies worked side by side on projects that benefited everyone. The humans had indeed made the galaxy tremble, but not through conquest or destruction. They had shaken the foundations of an ancient system built on fear and replaced it with something built on hope. The age of empire was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And at its heart were the humans who had evolved beyond their physical limitations to embrace something even more powerful, the godlike capacity for compassion, growth, and the wisdom to know that true strength came not from ruling others, but from helping others rule themselves.